Welcome back. It's Mr. TCG. I'm bringing you guys today a Purrely deck profile. I took this deck today to locals, went 5-0, completely undefeated. It really performed. It overperformed actually. At the time of making this video, YCS Indy is in like its 4th round, so I'm really looking forward to see how this deck performs during that event. But during the event today, it went crazy. I never thought I would like this deck so much. It's a really fun deck, really interactive, has many pieces of interaction. It's a really enjoyable deck to play. It rewards good players, and I saw that today. I'm really glad I picked up this deck for locals. So speaking of locals, my matchups, first round it was against Branded Chimera, second round against Earth Machine, third round was the mirror match. Shout out to Rogue Tier, he was playing Quincy's version of Dark World Purrely. He actually did hand loop me game 2, but I managed to defeat him anyways. Match 4 was against Vanquish Soul, and my 5th and final match was against an Eldritch player. So yes, without further ado, here's the Purrely undefeated deck profile. So the monster lineup is pretty set up because it's only like 6 Purrely monsters. We are playing the 3 Purrelys, which is the best one. It's not once per turn any of its effects, so it's a really broken card. It lets you keep going even after you get interrupted. And we playing the 3 Purrelys. This is usually your normal summon. You can get away with playing 2. I often find myself setting 1 out 1 second just because you don't want to see multiples, because it's a normal summon, right? You don't want to clog up your hands with normal summons when you only got 6 normal summonable monsters in deck. But this card lets you XYZ summon using material from the graveyard, so it's part of your main combo. It's really good. Both monsters are pretty good. Next we have the best non-Purrely monster in my deck, which was the 3 Fenrirs. Fenrir overperformed. I wouldn't have won today without this card. It gave me so much just because it gives you a free discard. You can protect it until the next turn using Happy Memory, because you just target it and it gets protection until next turn. It outs floodgates. It's just a body presence, and if you open it, it's a really good piece of interaction of your end board. I wouldn't change this by anything in the world. Keep playing Fenrir. You're not gonna regret it. As for hand traps, we got 3 Ash. Ash was our main hand trap today. We actually used it a lot. It's really good. Even drawing it off of memory during your opponent's standby phase is really insane. The decks I played today were impacted really hard against because of Ash, like Branded, Eldritch, Vanquish Soul. We also played 2 Nibs. We played Nibs just because we want to run at least one high impact hand trap. I was between this and Nib, and this and Draw. I'm sorry. In retrospect, it should have been Draw just because you can just make it in your opponent's turn and stop your opponent's turn by completely. But Nib was good when I drew it. It was pretty decent against the Earth Machine player and against first round against Branded Chimera. So they're interchangeable. It kind of conflicts with the Fenrirs. If you draw it going second, you draw a Fenrir, it kind of sucks. So that's something you gotta keep in mind when playing these cards. But it worked out pretty well. We also now for the spells, we run the 3 My Friend Purrely. This card is absolutely cracked. It gets you a card every turn. It gets you up to 3 cards if your opponent outs an XYZ monster you control. You can even during your turn, you can crash yourself into your opponent. So this dies, and then you get a card because of happiness, and then you get the materials back from My Friend Purrely. So that's really good. For the Fury spells, we played 3 of each, except Delicious, because it's one. Delicious and Sleepy Memory are the best ones just because they're the ones that most consistently get you to Nor. But you can get to Nor in different ways. using this deck. Obviously, the trap is involved a lot of the times, just because Plump was such an easy access to Norm because it attaches materials from the graveyard, so it hits the 5 material threshold really fast. We're also playing 2 of the field spell. Many people are playing 3, but it's a dead card if you don't have any other Purrely spells with it. It doesn't do anything on activation. It is really insane when it goes off. Like when you go in second against Rescue Ace, they cannot target anything, so most of their engine dies. Also, when they out one of your XYZ monsters and you have my friend Purrely, you can like get the materials back and then summon one Purrely monster from graveyard or deck, so it's really good. It was the first time for me playing this deck in a tournament setting, and I was pretty surprised. It plays through so much. It has many interactions, many unfair interactions, and if you're not prepared for this deck, you're gonna get beaten up. That's it for engine. Now we're going to non-engine spells. I decided to run 2 prosps. I didn't run 3 just because you only need 1. Your extra deck is really important. You can manage to banish 6 once, but after that, the next 3 cards you banish, they can't come up, since remember they're all of them are fodder for you to do your XYZs, so you need them in your extra deck, not in your banished, right? But still, it's a consistency card. If you start off doing pros for 6 as your first card, usually people will ash it, which is okay, just because it can get you any card, but depending on how you do it, it can make you seem like a bit desperate, and they're gonna be like, oh, maybe Ash can stop him, and then you do any quick play, and then you do any quick play and keep on playing. You know, summon Purrely or Purrely, get my friend Purrely, search 3, and just start the engine going. For the books are really good this format, especially Book of Eclipse. Book of Eclipse is cracked against Rescue Ace, just because if you put all of their monsters face down, all of the spell traps turbulence set, they're dead. So you can just try and go into Zeus and wipe their board and then play Purrely's after that. So it's really good. We also played 2 Book of Moon. So I got them 4 books today. Book of Moon was really good, dodging hand traps and also interrupting your opponent. And it was also good because I played 3 crossouts. So we got lots of good crossout targets in this deck. We got Book of Moons, Book of Eclipse, which can shut or Nor down during your opponent's turn. And during our turn, we can just cross out for Ash or for Emperor. You can make a case of running more hand traps so that you have more crossout targets, but I think that you have to play crossouts for the weaknesses of your deck, and this deck loses hard against Book of Moons and against Book of Eclipse. You do not run XYZ Encore just because XYZ Encore is not chainable. You cannot chain into XYZ Encore. It's like super poly, so you have to have a bad opponent that forgets priority in his turn. But you can do like cell spam XYZ Encore, I guess, but I think that's just too much. And the last trap is the Pure Leap. It's just part of the combo. It's the engine brick, and you hate to draw it, but it's not that bad because it lets you into other lines. I'm still learning the deck, and it's a really fun, enjoyable deck to play, so I really recommend you guys playing this. Now, as for the extra deck, it's pretty standard. It's pretty much all XYZs. That's why this deck loses hard against Deep Barrier, because you pretty much have lots of XYZ monsters, but we run a new card in the extra deck, guess what it is, which really helps a lot with that problem. So we got the 2 beauties, really good card. Use Imperm, you can change battle positions of monsters your opponent controls when you activate quick play. This card is insane. I love this card. It lets you gain so much advantage. It lets you OTK. It lets you search basically for any card, so you can get into Delicious, that can get into Plump, and then do the Nor. So even if you're not gonna kill, this can set up a big Nor, a big plump, so that you can then put Expertly Nor on top of it. We also play one Purrely Nor, which is the trap searcher. Basically pretty good. Really rarely use the effect to bounce, since you almost always use it first turn, and when going second you pretty much go into this every time, but it has a good effect to discard and bounce cards. And we got the boss monster himself, the best card printed this year as the boss monster. It's the Nor. This card really has really few weaknesses, like XYZ Anchor, any Kaiju effect, and that's about it. That's about it with the cards that can beat this, because if you can set up this turn 1 without using your trap, your opponent cannot Book of Moon it, your opponent cannot Book of Eclipse it, and Delicious is going to pump its defense by the materials it has, so it gets really big. So a good play if you're going to set this up turn 1 along with Nor is with the field spell. Just attach Delicious. It's gonna make your life easier. If Nor hits the board, you can just have it like a 43 defense minimum Nor, so that's really good. As for the XYZ ones, we got the Sylvan, just to excavate and try and get an extender. It's really good, but it was part of the end board before AGOV, but we got a new card now, and this is just for Zeus. I'm a Drytron player by heart, so I love this card. Just having the chance to attack twice and going to Downerd and afterwards Zeus is really good. Downerd is good in this deck because you can just fill up any of your Purrely monsters with materials and go into Downerd and do Zeus, so it's suddenly a 8 material Zeus, which is really hard to get around. But remember, if you're doing Zeus, you're gonna wipe your whole board too, so it can get a little bit iffy. It was really good in Castillo format, but right now it's not as good. We were also testing the Typhon. Honestly, it was mostly prosperity fodder, but I'm really looking forward to see what the potential for this card is. It should have its uses against certain matchups, like Vanadium, Branded, and all of that, but today I didn't summon it once. As for links, we only run 2. We run the 1 Relinquish Anima, which has a really good effect. People do not play around this that much, but its main use is to link it off by using one of your Purrely monsters and go into the second best card in the extra deck after Xpli Nor, which is SP Little Knight. This card won me games by itself today. It's part of your end board. If you open Fenrir, you can do Fenrir, Nor, and SP Little Knight, and that is pretty strong. Like, once they tried to mind control, they had mind control, they targeted the SP Little Knight. I just chained SP Little Knight targeting herself and Fenrir and just left the Nor out. So they're going to come back in the end phase. Against Vanquish Soul, I outed there can only be one after doing Relinquish Anima, and game 3 I just did SP Little Knight control against him, since he had Raisin and the Borger in hand, I think it was, and each time he activated his effect in hand to summon targeting the Raisin, I would just banish the Raisin with SP Little Knight. So that is a really strong point of interaction, and it won me so many games today. As for the side deck, we ran the 3 DD Crows. It's the only hand trap we run in the side deck. I really like DD Crow just because if you draw multiple during your opponent's turn with the memory, it's not once per turn. So against a matchup like Trilament, where they can have multiple extenders, you have multiple disruptions, along with the Nor, which is also a disruption of their graveyard, so it can get really strong. It's also good in the mirror, and it was good today against the Outlish player. So yeah, that's that. We got 2 Cosmics and 1 Heart Piece for back row. Heart Piece, I did use. Cosmics, I did see it. Cosmics, I did see it a few times today, but didn't really use it much. I did discard it much of the time. I put it against Vanquish Soul going first and second, just because if they do their can only, it's really hard unless we have now the tool with SP Little Knight to remove the Durkan only, but it's still a nuisance. We got 2 Triple Tactics. I love this card in the side deck for this specific deck, just because I think it's stronger in this deck going second than first. Going first, when you activate a spell in this card, if you discard tactics, you're gonna know you have the tactics, right? It's so easy to bait out things going second just because nothing is once per turn, barring the continuous spell, the field spell, which is only relevant in the end phase, and the Purrely. So yeah, it was really good. We also ran 3 evenly matched, just a great going second card. This format, it's not that good against Unchained just because they can still set up a board after you evenly match them, but it was really good against Owlich. It's good against Chimera. It's good against the Mirror. It can be decent, and any crazy combo decks. It's just useful. It's evenly matched. Yeah. We ran 3 Grave of the Super Ancient Organisms. I did not see this card once today, but it has its uses against Owlich. Talking specifically about the matchups I had today, Owlich, Vancrusoul, and Branded Chimera. But it has so much range, this format, because you can do this for Turbulence. Now Turbulence cannot activate its effect. You can do this for any synchro deck like Manadium, that it can lock them out. You can do this for Dragon Link, Branded. So it just covers a big range of matchups. But I think that MVP today, the one-off, was the barrier. I saw it against Purrely mirror match and I won. I still have to test the side deck a lot, but I think you can probably cut one of these and play 2 the barriers. The reason the barrier is really important, at least as a one-off in the side deck, is because you have cross-out Designator in your main deck, and many people side, like, the best card to side deck against Purrely going first is Dimensional Barrier. It just shuts down their turn. I won my mirror match just because of the barrier. So it's a really good card. Cross out really helps this deck against this specific threat. But apart from that, the extra deck, the main deck, the side deck performed superbly today. So yeah, after playing locals today and going undefeated, I can confidently say this deck still has it. It's a really good deck. SP Little Knight is a really good card for this deck. Many people were sleeping on it for Purrely's before AGOV, but after testing it and after summoning it many times today during the tournament, I can confidently say it's a busted card. I'm looking forward to see what wins YCS Indy. I'm looking forward to play in the YCS myself in Bologna in December. And I think this is a big consideration, big contender for the deck for that specific event. So yes, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate the support. Please hit the likes button, please hit the subscribe button so that we can keep bringing you guys content. And we'll see you in the next video.